In the past, Clinton County, Missouri was the western edge of the United States. Situated between two emerging cities, Kansas City and St. Joseph, Clinton County benefited from their growth. The Pony Express, the Gold Rush, and Western migration brought people through the county, but the population that settled here put it on the map. Plattsburg became the beef capital of the world. Lathrop was the major supplier of mules for the Boer Wars and World War I. 5 railroads crisscrossed the county, and the nation's first north-south highway ran through Cameron, Plattsburg, and Trimble on its way to Kansas City. Clinton County was home to David Rice Atchison, president for a day, James Harvey Birch, Missouri Supreme Court judge, Willis J. Wynn, president of the Cleveland Federal Reserve, and James Marshall, early leader of the Manhattan Project. Here are more family histories of Clinton County. Never give up while there's a chance to fail. A good while, that should be. The world seems running over with chances to fail. I look ahead and cannot see a hope, but neither can I see flowers in the darkness, yet I smell the fragrance. I was born the 11th of February, 1870 on Canby Farm near Hannibal, Missouri. The same year Charles Dickens died.
For his first 8 years, St. Louis was his home. His father, Dr. John William Ellis, was a prominent lawyer in St. Louis and was educated in the private schools of Kentucky and graduated from Georgetown College in 1860. He was a scholar, lawyer, minister, educator, and poet. His mother, Sally Breckenridge Ellis, was from the prominent Breckenridge family of Kentucky. While in St. Louis, she also worked with Susan Elizabeth Blow during the kindergarten movement. When Breck, as his father called him, was 18 months old, he contracted spinal meningitis. This would change the course of his life forever. It was at this time that his family realized he would never walk again. After 6 years, his health began to fail, and his parents were urged by a doctor to move away from St. Louis. In 1878, the family moved to Independence, Missouri, where his father was the head of Woodland College, working there 2 years.
On a summer's day in 1880, a pony drew near a certain Missouri County seat, drawing a carriage. A boy of 10, thrilling to adventure of an unknown world. My brother Perry was a lad of 12, jumping on and off the wagon when nobody was looking, and the varied colored objects filling every possible nook in both vehicles were my father's books. Now the rutted roads were bringing us up, down, to the village of Plattsburg, where most of my life was to be spent.
His father purchased and chartered Plattsburg College. As a boy, he was reading and writing constantly. He enjoyed dime novels, writing in his journal, and wrote an autobiography. At the age of 15, he wrote in his diary,
"Today I've decided to become a literary gentleman."
While owning the college, the family lived on the first floor, and his father had a hand-cranked elevator installed so he would be able to get to the classroom upstairs. At 16, Breck graduated with honors, receiving the degrees of AB and AM, and taught at the college for 11 years.
As I saw it, the teacher's function is to take the facts of the textbook, though as dry as dust, and breathe into them his spirit.
At the age of 19, he was threatened with blindness and took it upon himself to learn Braille. When he was 22, his mother saw an advertisement of a tricycle worked by hand.
Until then, life passed me by. The tricycle has made a change in my life. It's like owning a boat on a desert island.
March 30th, 1897, the college is sold.
We are to build a cottage on the other side of town where the steam engines will no longer sound as if they are coming up the steps. We were on such a busy street that any time before you could count 100, a horse, buggy, or wagon and team is passing the front gate. The dogs that bark all night seem under the very window. Already the neighbors have been over to borrow things. The Christian church is on our south, the Baptist church on the north, and the public school on the east.
Then his father became president of Central Christian College at Albany, Missouri, and Breck taught there from 1900 to 1902. Breck continued devoting his time to writing books, essays, short stories, serials, poems, music, and etched art pieces. He had a strong faith about him as he wrote several religious pieces and was a member of the Christian church. He was turned down by publishers for 11 years, recording his red letter days in his journal, sometimes writing in shorthand. The tricycle would take him to the Fence of Sighs at the post office, comparing it with the Bridge of Sighs in Venice, where he read his rejection letters. Finally, in 1898, his first book, Shem, was published. He celebrated by playing the Bluebells of Scotland, In 1904, the Ellis family moved to Bentonville, Arkansas, where his father was the pastor of the First Christian Church. 1912 was the turning point of his career. After 3 rejections from 3 different publishers, his 4th attempt was submitted and he took a trip against the well wishes of friends. Breck and his mother loaded the tricycle on the train and headed to New York. In doing so, he realized the controversy surrounding his book. Publishers were afraid what the religious community would think. He so impressed his literary agent that they published a book. Fran became the 12th book he had published, and it would become a national bestseller for 2 years. It was such a national sensation that a silent movie, The Love Hunger, was made based on the book. 12 had become his lucky number. After his success with Fran, he had 5 more books made into movies. An additional 4 books were turned into plays. A total of 26 books were published. After fame and fortune, Breck traveled extensively in this country and in 1913 took his 70-year-old mother on an adventure to England, Italy, Greece, France, and the ancient sites of Europe. They wintered in California and Oklahoma and returned to Plattsburg in the summer.
In warm weather, I like to live outdoors in my vine-covered studio gazebo at the cottage. I am able to work with the song of the birds in my ears and the voices of the wind whispering to me.
In 1913, he founded the Ellis Essay Contest, giving generous prizes to the winners. In 1927, Culver Stockton awarded him an honorary doctorate in literature. He penned his own autobiography, Adventure of Living, in 1933. He was one of the originators of the Missouri Writers Guild, serving as the first vice president and subsequently the president for 4 years. He originated the Advanced Society, a literary corresponding club with members in almost every state in the Union, as well as South America, Japan, China, and Europe. In 1953, the Plattsburg School Board voted to honor him by naming the new school Ellis Elementary School, and it remains an elementary school. But one of his favorite accomplishments was being called Uncle Breck to many children in his clubs that read Junior Life Campfire and Boy Life magazines.
I early learned that when there were not many flowers in my garden, it was my business to plant more seed.
From the Plattsburgh Leader, June 26, 1956. But the most remarkable thing about the man in the wheelchair is not that he achieved fame and success, not even the amazing fact that he acquired them in spite of tremendous difficulties. It is the glow of his personality that impresses you. His body may be confined, but his mind and spirit are free. He possesses an awareness that borders on magic. He dwells where truth and beauty are. You come away from his presence knowing that living is wonderful, and you sing the Bluebells of Scotland in 3 flats and count to 12 to seal it. How can one pass away whose life is in a book? Forgotten it may be, but if careless hand take down the tome from the dusty shelf, one hears the voice of yesterday.